Oh, hey. Hey, Adam. How are you?
So my first question is, Brian, how do we know each other?
How do we know each other? We know each other because when you didn't have such a deep voice and you were in high school, I was the rabbi at the congregation. You used to look up to me, and we kept in touch through Facebook, I think, and I moved to Oregon, and you reached out, and you were going to go see the Chicano Underground, some band up in Portland. I said, "Why don't you come for dinner?" You came for dinner, and we got to reacquaint. And you invited me to be in your classroom, and technology allows me to do this because I the time zones and thought I'd be able to do it live because I can't keep track of how time zones work.
So as we close down this class, we're kind of, in a way, taking off, in a sense that we're just getting started. I like to think about a plane on a runway, and we've been building that runway for the past 8 or 9 weeks now, and now it's time for takeoff. So the theme of this week is moving forward mindfully. So as we finish a course on language, race, and racism in the United States, what does it mean to move forward mindfully?
Yeah. All right. All right. To move forward mindfully, I used to always teach my students this way. I would have on the wall a letter D and a letter J, and I would say that there's a distinction between the two. And I would separate them out. So there's the J, here's the D. And it goes like this. The D is discernment. Discernment. J is judgment. And mindfully is this. Mindfully is noticing what we notice, to discern something, to notice something, right? To go, oh, I noticed the rabbi couldn't figure out which hand it was, right? That's a D, discernment. And then there's J, which is judgment. And judgment is, what a fucking idiot. The rabbi can't keep track of which hand the piece of paper was in. Or discernment, rabbi sure cursing more than I thought a rabbi should. Isn't he awesome? That there are two things. Discernment is what happens without our control. We have no control over what we discern. Okay, like at advanced levels, people might start to get some, but let's not go there. But for the most part, what you are noticing right now. Hey, look, Ashley's got some bright red hair. That's awesome. Like I can discern that. Judgment follows discernment. So it's what you see, what you hear, what you taste, what you touch, what you think. That's discernment. And then what you do with that, that's judgment. Ashley's got some bright red hair. That's awesome. Ashley's got some bright red hair. Ooh. Discernment. Rabbi can see Ashley. Mind blown. Judgment. How's that trick work? Okay, right. You figured it out, right? So Adam sent me a thing ahead of time. I'm like, give me some distinguishing characteristic about a student, and I'll work it in because I thought it would be funny. But it would go for a point. So mindfully, self-awareness. And here's a quote I want you to have, right? Don't believe everything you think. Because our thinking is filled with this judgment. And the more you can put space between the discernment and the judgment, right? So if you're not self-aware, they're the same thing. They're happening at the same time. And the more you're self-aware, the more you're self-actualized, the more you're I don't know, doing this college thing right. Although, you don't have to go to college to do this. The more space you can put between discernment and judgment, the less you believe everything you think, the better.
So, for one of the readings for today's class, we were invited into a discussion with Bell Hooks. And at the end of her chapter on the practice of love, she writes on page 199 that if we were to gather all of the cultural criticism and critical theory on the subject of white supremacy, whiteness, race, and racism in this huge body of work, we would find little or no focus on love. End quote. So we're kind of leaning into this discussion, as she is too, on exploring love and self-love as we move forward mindfully. And we think about how we've messed up, we've made mistakes, and we'll continue to do so in our practice moving forward. What sort of experiences do you have with that sort of messing up? And how and in what ways is self-love really important? Perhaps in the same ways that Bell Hooks names it as important. How's that important to you in the work that you do?
Yeah. All right. Love. It's love. This is my topic, dude. I got this one. So love and self-love, and there's something also in there about making mistakes. But let me start with love. And there are 4 parts to love, and you need to know what love is in order for us to judge ourselves. Are we loving properly? And there's a metric, and let me give you the 4 things that make up love. And they go like this. They go RAUR, R-A-U-R, R-A-U-R, RAUR. First R is recognize, A, accept, U, understand, R, respond. I'm going to take those one at a time. For love to be love, it has to have those 4 things. First, recognize. Recognize is to see something for what it is. The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is ignoring. You ever been on the wrong side of the silent treatment? You know that that's the cruelest thing ever. To make someone feel like they don't exist. To recognize them. And that goes to the accidental courtesy movie of just seeing someone for who they are. When I go into a coffee shop and, person behind the counter's got, bright red hair. And I say, oh, you have bright red hair. It's recognizing them for who they are. It's seeing them. It's letting them know that they exist. So the first part of love is recognize. And I'm gonna start this with talking about what it is to love someone else, and then we're gonna get to self-love. But first, it's recognize. You recognize that person, like, oh, you got a trachea ring. You just recognize that. Of course, they know they have the piercing here, but it's to recognize them. To recognize someone is the first step of love. R, RAR, recognize. A. I was making sure you know what it is. Do you know what it is? It's accept. I got a little confused there for a second. Recognize, accept. Acceptance is saying, I don't necessarily like what it is, but it is what it is, right? It's accepting that that's who you are. It's taking the other person as they are. You is understand, is saying, well, I might not agree, I might not do that, but I understand that you're doing what you do. And accidental courtesy was all about that, about being able to say, you are who you are, and I'm going to take you exactly as you are. Recognize the person, accept the person, understand you are who you are because that's how you were brought up, that's how you were raised. Everything into this moment brought you to be who you are. Accept. Now we get to the final R, respond. Respond is love is it's not just knowing it, it's responding to someone with love. It's doing something that feels like love. And I recommend the 5 love languages so you understand that there's more than one kind of love. I don't want to go into that right now. But there's different ways of responding with love. So it's recognizing them, accepting them, understanding them, responding to them. That's what love is. Self-love, same thing. Self-love, to love yourself. For me to love myself is for me to first recognize this is who I am. Go, oh my God, my hairline is going back a lot further than I thought. It's to just recognize it, accept it. I'm still working on that. It's hard. I used to have lots and lots of hair all over my, like down to here. It was full hair. It's accepting it, understanding this is life. This is how it is. This is how I am. This is who I am. Understanding and responding is just with love, compassion, with kindness. To be able to accept yourself fully for who you are, to understand who you are, and to respond to yourself in your situation with love. Let me now jump to mistakes. The key to mistakes is realizing that, all right, this is on the work of Catherine Schwartz, brilliant woman. She's got a great TED Talk you could watch. Here's the question. I want you to think about this. What does it feel like when you make a mistake, right? What does it feel like when you make a mistake? And you know what it feels like when you make a mistake, right? Everyone, you got that, okay. This asynchronous thing's a little hard, but y'all understand what it feels like when you make a mistake. And then what Catherine Schwartz says is, no. When I ask the question, what does it feel like when you make a mistake? You probably answered what it feels like when you realized you made a mistake. And when you realize you make a mistake, you go, oh, shit, I shouldn't have done that. But when you make the mistake, it feels normal. It feels, I taught math for a lot of years in high school. And I could say to a kid, why'd you drop the negative there? Well, why'd you drop a negative on that equation? Because you didn't notice you made that mistake. That mistakes are made, and when you're doing that equation and you're doing it out and you missed the negatives, you just dropped it. It wasn't malicious. It wasn't anything you did intentionally. It's just a mistake. And it's only looking back where you see it. So how do you treat yourself? This is on self-love. How do you treat yourself when you realize you had made a mistake? What you have to, level up to is say, I didn't mean to make that mistake. And you have to have some self-love about saying, oh, that's just what happened. Accepting it. And here's where it's going to get hard, is realizing that when other people make a mistake, they didn't mean to make that mistake either. They made a mistake, and they might be embarrassed about it now, but why did they make the mistake at the time? Because they didn't know. They didn't know what they did. And when I make a mistake, it's, if I kick my own ass for having made a mistake, that's an extra ass kicking I don't need. When you make a mistake, to forgive yourself and go, oh, I'm a human being. It's recognizing, accepting, understanding, and then responding with compassion. That's how we move. That's how self-love happens. That's how we love. That's how we love ourselves. That's how we love others, is to forgive them, for they know not what they do. Forgive ourselves because we simply made a mistake.
Brian, in addition to doing all the readings for today, you also watched Accidental Courtesy. We watched this last class, and we really haven't had a chance to unpack it much as a group. I think we're all wondering what you thought about it.
I thought, if I look at the movie, that's what this man is doing. He's talking about love. What does it mean to love somebody, and to really love your enemies, and just to love someone for who they are. Respond, accept, understand. Recognize, accept, understand, respond. And it's that recognize thing of he's inspired me. The white supremacists want to have a march in Portland, and the mayor just said, "No, I'm not going to allow it." And I think that's a mistake, because we have to recognize them. We have to recognize them, because if we say, no, you're not allowed to, we're using the law to beat them back. And yeah, we can do that, but I don't think we should. I think I'm a dreamer. And I think, well, what if instead we went to that march and we brought them cold water to drink, and we brought them snacks, right? If we recognize, accept, understand, they are who they are because that's who they are. And we respond, and we go out there and we feed them lunch, and maybe we have picnic blankets of all of us liberals who are just sitting there and having a party, and not in their face, but showing them what love really is. And I'm inspired to do that by the movie. I'm scared shitless about the idea of actually doing that. But it's that image of the hippies putting the flowers in the rifles of the guns, and it's standing up with love, and I love that moment where the Southern Poverty Law Center said, we're trying to do this on a wholesale level, you're doing it on a retail level. And I think if more of us, and I'm going to say you kids in this class, me and Adam, the more of us who actually do this on a retail one-to-one level, and go out and find the people who hate us and say, how do you hate me? You don't even know me. Because my heart is filled with love. And my heart is so filled with love that I will love you too. I will accept you. I will understand you. I don't have to agree with you. But would you like a sandwich? Would you like a cold bottle of water? Would you like to join our picnic here on the blanket and have some food? Oh, that movie is just phenomenal, and it's inspiring. And there's a phrase in Latin, si ille iste cor non ego. St. Augustine said that. And he said, if he or she can, why can't I? That's what a real role model does. A real role model sets the bar and makes what looked to be impossible. You see, they're doing it. And you say, if they can do it, why can't I? And I want to throw that challenge at all of you in the class. If they can do it, if they can be filled with love, if Mr. Accidental Courtesy can be filled with love, at that level, why can't you?
Hey, Brian, what does social justice mean to you? And why is it such an important part of your identity as a rabbi, but also just as a human being?
Justice is what love looks like in public. I do social justice work because that's what love looks like in public. I'm a man whose mission is to help bring love, because I want to live in a world with more love. And social justice is a way of bringing love into the public sphere and recognizing that we're all connected, this sense of unity, of connection. And social justice is love in public. I'm just going to repeat that idea because that's it. Social justice is love in public. And I am a messenger of love, as are all of us. We are all embodiments of love. And in order to show that in public, we must stand up for justice. Amen. And I thank you. I thank you, Adam, for inviting me. I thank you, class, for watching. I'm just thankful. I'm very thankful that y'all are thinking about what you're doing, thinking about what you're saying, and being more deliberate and being more deliberate, taking between discernment and judgment, being more deliberate and being more loving. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, you're liking it, please let's continue this conversation. You can find me at rotb.org, religionoutsidethebox.org, rotb.org. Let's keep talking. Appreciate your time. Lots of love.